Welcome to this edition of Go Vote Omaha, presented by the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha. I'm Karina Hernandez, Director at Large for the League of Omaha, and your host for today's program. We will help you get ready to vote on November 8th and catch up with our friends at Heartland Workers Center to learn about their Get Out the Vote efforts leading up to the election. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization and does not endorse political candidates or parties. The League does, however, take positions on issues. Our purpose is to empower voters and defend democracy. Go Vote Omaha primarily focuses on policy issues, and as a result of our discussions, we hope you will feel ready to make informed decisions at election time. Joining us today is Heartland Workers Center Workers' Rights Coordinator, Penelope Leon. Thank you so much for being here. As we know, the election is right around the corner, but first we wanted to learn a little bit about you and learn a little bit about Heartland Workers Center. So can you tell us a little bit about your organization?
Sure, and thanks for inviting me.
Of course.
Well, the Heartland Workers Center is a nonprofit, non-partisan community organization. We work with leaders in the community to make a change, to let their voices heard, and try to build a community that works for all.
Mm-hmm. Right, so you're talking about the types of communities that you're working with. For your Get Out the Vote efforts, where were you working in Omaha, or what kinds of communities were you focusing on?
Well, our target audience is the voters that haven't voted on the last election, or they just need a little information and a little push to cast their vote.
Right. Yeah. And information, probably, which
Information,
we'll go over a lot of that.
Really important. Yes.
Yeah. So we know that information's important. What about the reason? Why is it important to get out and vote?
Well, this is a midterm election, and usually the midterm elections are not as popular as the presidential elections, but this election is really important, especially for Nebraska, because the governor position is at stake, and also half of the Senate is also at stake, and all the House of Representatives are at stake.
Right, and well, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's very important to vote during these midterms. It's like the presidential for us because it's a governor, the one that is, the position is the one that we are going to vote.
Yeah, and we have two really important initiatives as well.
Exactly, yes.
On the ballot that we need to look out for, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Okay.
So we know it's really important. I think it's really important to go out and vote. My personal reason is, I vote for people who are maybe not yet citizens, whose my voice represents. That's why it's so important for me personally to vote. What about you?
Yeah, it's part of our GOTV campaign that is called I Vote for My Family, o Voto por mi Familia. That means that if you can vote, you are representing not only yourself, but also your family, your friends, your neighbors that maybe cannot vote for some reason, and you are voting for them. You are the voice of all of them.
Exactly, that's what's so important, especially to me as well. So we know why it's important. So what can voters do to plan and prepare for Election Day?
Well, in this country we have a lot of options. So first, of course, we need to be informed, right? Like having this guide, the candidate profile from the women's. And also, I will say that you can cast your vote right now going to the Election Commission. You can vote by mail if you ask for an early voting ballot, or then you can prepare to go on November 8th to cast your vote. And for that, I will tell you to mark down your calendar and set the alarm, because time flies on regular days. Election day is like a regular day, so it's better to put
Right.
time aside to go and cast your vote.
Exactly, making a plan. So saying, oh, I'm gonna go in at 3:30 after I'm done picking up my kids, or oh, maybe I'm taking off a couple hours off of work so that I can go out and vote. Making that plan is so important, because the day can just get away,
Yes.
and then it just you can't miss it. So
Yes.
And so when you go to your polling place, which we'll get to in a little bit on how to find your polling place, what does that look like? So you get to your polling place, and then what happens?
Well, you're gonna make a line, wait for your turn. You're gonna go next to two clerks, and they are going to find you in the book. And then another clerk is going to give you your ballot. You are going to a special cabin to cast your vote, and then you put your ballot inside of like a folder, a metal folder, and you give it to one of the inspectors, or I don't remember what are they called, judge, I guess, and they put it inside of the box, of the voter box.
Right, and then you're all finished. So that's what happens if you go to your polling place. If you're voting by mail, as we talked about earlier, you're going to have to drop off your ballot.
Yes.
If you signed up to vote by mail, you'll have your ballot. You can mark it at home, but you'll make sure to drop it off, because there won't be time to mail it anymore. So just go and drop it off at your drop box, and that usually comes with your ballot. And you just have to do that by 8 p.m. Central Time. Do you have anything
Yes,
else?
before 8.
Yes.
Before 8, because at 8 p.m. they lock
Right.
the drop boxes.
Exactly.
And I would recommend to make sure that you sign the envelope. So your vote is going to be counted.
Yeah, that's how your vote is verified, if you sign the back of the envelope. Yeah.
Yes.
And okay, so let's talk about our polling place. So I remember as a college student, when I my first time voting, I remember being like, okay, but where do I vote? And I used to live on campus, so I was like, how do I even find where to vote? How do you find your assigned polling place?
Well, this time I will say that everybody needs to check their polling place in advance, because of the redistributing. We have some new election boundaries, and we need to make sure that the polling place that we used to go is the same one. Maybe it's another one. So to do that, you can go to, if you live in Douglas County, you can go to the Douglas County Election Commission, and on the homepage, you just need to put your house number and what else? I don't remember what else. I guess the street, and it will tell you what is your polling place.
Yeah,
It's that easy.
Yep, I was looking at that earlier because I was like, gotta double check. But I also use Voter Check, as I'm sure you know it.
Yes,
So,
also in Voter Check.
Yep, and we should have a lower third for that, but that's votercheck.necvr.ne.gov. And that's a voter information center. You'll be able to just plug in your address, and then your polling place will come up. Usually it's like a church, or maybe like a school.
School, yes, at the gym.
Community center, something like that. So what times will polls be open? When can I actually
From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Right.
But remember to be before 8, because at 8 they mark the line, and just the ones that are in line are the ones
exactly.
who are going to vote.
Right, so if you're in line by 8 p.m., if you stay in line, if you're already in line and you stay in line, you should be able to vote, even if it gets to 8. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about this. So yeah, where can I find information about candidates for this ballot? Do you want to talk a little bit more about the voter's guide?
Yes, sure. You can go to voter411.org, and you can find all the candidates in there. also the initiatives, some amendments also. And also, if you go to the Douglas County Election Commission website, also there's information about candidates over there. But this one is really true.
Yeah, yep, that's vote411.org. And, you know, even if you're not in Omaha, that's for all of our 93 Nebraska counties. The League of Women Voters put this together, and it's a great resource for you as well. And then I always say, you know, if you're thinking, you know, do your own research, but, you know, if you want to have conversations, yeah, talk to your friends and family about, you know, who best represents you.
Exactly, and everything now is online, so you can search. You can
Right.
search by name, you can search by position, and then you will have a really good information and know who you want to be the one who's going to represent you next.
Exactly, and that's super important. But yeah, as you said, it's not just candidates, it's also initiatives
Yes.
that will affect our lives. So do I need a voting card or my ID in order to vote?
No, you don't need to present an ID to cast your vote. Sometimes, when it's the first time that you vote, that you just register to vote, and it's the first time that you're going to cast your vote, they are going to ask you for an ID, but only if it comes in the book. In the book with status need ID.
Exactly, yeah. So if you're first time Nebraska registrant who registered to vote by mail, that's when you may be asked for an ID. But some acceptable forms are current photo ID, a utility bill, bank statement, government check, paycheck, and any other government document that shows your name or address. If you happen to show up and they ask you for an ID, and you don't have any sort of ID with you, you should be able to ask for a provisional ballot. So let's talk about provisional ballots. What is it? And obviously that's one of the reasons why you may need one, but yeah, what is that?
Yes, if you move in the same county to another street, or even in the same building but to another apartment, you need to register, re-register to vote. And if you miss the deadline, then you can cast your vote provisionally. And that's mean that you need to call first the election commission and ask about the polling place, the ballot number, and the ward number. And with that, they are going to give you a big envelope, and you are going to fill it down with those numbers, and also with your name, your address. You will need to fill register a form to register again, and they are going to give you a ballot according to the number that you get from the election commission. And you're going to cast your vote, put that ballot inside of that envelope, then you give it to the clerk. This person is going to check that all the information outside of the envelope is correct. You're going to seal your envelope, and everybody's going to see how the clerk put your provisional ballot envelope inside of the voting box.
Right, and it's really important, I would say, to like make sure that you're getting a provisional ballot. If if you thought you were registered, or maybe there's, some other issue arises, ask for a provisional ballot is what I always say, just so that you can, make sure that your vote counts.
Yes, it's not really hard. It sounds like a lot of things to do, but the main thing is that remember that you just need to call the election commission for those numbers, and that's it. That's the hard part. And I want to say that there's a lot of people working inside of the election commission to answer those calls. I'm going to be one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Yeah, I know that there's, you can ask the poll workers, there's election protection workers as well from Civic Nebraska who are going to be around. So there's plenty of people to ask, but yeah, you can always call the election commissioner as well. So talking about checking to make sure that we're on track. How do I check the status of my ballot?
Well, also again, if you go to voter check, you can find there. Also, you need to put your name and your county on that one. Or if you go to the Douglas County Election Commission, on their there's another shortcut to that same site.
Right. Yeah, and for that, because I've voted by mail before as well. I've never had to provisionally vote yet. But you can check your vote by mail ballot, you can check your provisional ballot as well, and you can check your ballot from election day.
Yes, they are going to give you a number. With your provisional ballot, they are going to give you a number, and that's a number for you to track.
Yeah, exactly, to make sure that you voted and you can wear the I voted sticker proudly. So another, I think, really important question is, can voters receive assistance while voting?
Yes, they can receive assistance if they have some kind of disability or they cannot read, or if they need an interpreter. Yes,
yeah.
they can.
Yeah, I've done this work as well, through the league and other organizations, and that's one of the questions that we got a lot actually, is what kind of assistance can I receive? So yeah, if you can't read or blind or have some physical disability, you can request assistance, and that can be a friend or a relative as well. But you can request assistance from 2 election board workers, one from a different party.
Different parties.
And every polling place should have a ballot marking device, which is something really cool that I didn't know was a thing when I, way back when I started learning about all this. And then another one that I think is really cool is curbside voting.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so basically what it is you show up to your polling place, there should be a phone number, and you call it, basically simple terms, they bring your ballot out to you, you fill it out, and you don't even have to leave your car if you have issues leaving your car.
This is like a drive-through.
Exactly, drive-through voting. Yeah, I just know that was a really big one.
Yes.
People having, saying, I can't even, I only leave my house to go grocery shopping. Or maybe even now with COVID, that might be a good one for people as well. So let's see. So we've talked a little bit about the initiatives. Do you just want to name which initiatives are on the ballot, or do you want me to go over
there are a couple of amendments and a couple of initiatives. I guess the most important ones that I think are important are one initiative that proposed to change the minimum wage here in Nebraska from $9 per hour to $15 per hour. So that's why it's so important to vote this time to see if this initiative passes. And also the other one is one that is requiring an ID, to have a photo ID to cast your vote. So those are really the most important initiatives that we have these elections.
So it's Voter ID Constitutional Amendment Initiative 432, and then the Nebraska Minimum Wage Initiative, Initiative 433, which you're talking about. And to find more information about those initiatives, go to the Nebraska Secretary of State website or votefor11.org. Exactly. Because these are going to affect, our elections. They're going to affect our lives,
Yes.
especially as cost of living keeps increasing.
Oh, one thing that I'm going to say about this candidate profile is that one side is in English and on the other side is in Spanish. And even the initiatives, everything is in Spanish. So.
Exactly, and that's super important for Spanish speakers as well.
Yes, and sometimes we cannot understand really
Some
the
words.
wording in English, and then in Spanish it makes more sense.
Nope, I totally agree. Completely agree. Spanish was my first language, so some words make more sense to me in Spanish. So how can we encourage our friends and family to go out and vote?
Well, just to call them, to invite them, make like a date or like a party. Let's go together to the polling place and vote. I guess it's just that. It's just grab your friends and say, let's go and vote. Really, really important this time to vote, and really easy. I have found that the people only need a little information, and that's it. They go and cast their vote. So
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think sometimes there can be barriers, right? So a lot of it is knowing the information. I think too, you know, when people are working, they think that they can't leave work, but you can. You can leave
Yes.
work to go and vote. I believe you get at least a couple of hours to go and cast your vote. So if you're working, don't let that be a barrier for you to get out there. But yeah, I agree. Calling up your friends and
and
going
remember,
together.
they also can vote before November 8th at the Election
Exactly.
Commission.
Yep, voting early is also a great option as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So you were telling us a little bit about the kinds of initiatives that you were doing. So what do those initiatives look like when you do? Does the Heartland Workers Center do like canvassing? What kind of work do you all do?
Well, remember that we go to promote the vote. We are not partition, so we only promote the vote, that everybody go and vote. We give information about the elections, and thanks to other organizations, we gave information about these initiatives, these two initiatives. We also coordinate with other organizations to join the effort to inform all the community. And we first do phone banking, we call, and also we go canvassing. And that means that we go door to door, knocking at the doors and leaving information, talking to people. So they will be informed and know where to vote. And on the last canvassing, we have given them also the voters guide.
Right. So what would you say has been like, you know, you're going door to door, you're talking to people. What is one of the most common questions that you get at the door?
The polling place.
The polling place?
What is this election about? When and why?
Okay. Yeah.
Why also, why?
Yeah. You know, I used to get a lot of like, who do I vote for? But since we're nonpartisan, it's like, we can't tell you who to vote for, so go look at votefor11.org.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that was my answer. Or talk to your friends and family as well. But yeah, I mean, so for any of the information that we're talking about, you know, go look for votefor11.org or go to Voter Check. The website is super simple, and you can look up a lot of information there. As we're finishing up here, I wanted to ask you, how can someone who wants to do this type of work volunteer with Heartland Workers Center? What should they do?
They just need to call us or go to the office. We are at 4923 South 24th Street, Suite 101. Our phone number is 402-933-6095. They can call us or go there so we can talk. We love to hear new ideas and see what is happening inside the community and find something that we can work together to change.
Right. Yeah, it's so important that, you know, we're representative of our communities who we're serving as well. And with that, do you need any experience to volunteer at Heartland
No,
Workers Center?
not really, no. No, and if you don't know, you will have training over there.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get training from Heartland Workers Center. I've done a lot of work with them as well, and it's been super fun. I know the
Yes,
League
it is.
and Heartland Workers Center do a lot of stuff together.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add for people to keep in mind as they're getting ready to vote on November 8th?
Well, remember that voting is important because it's the way that our community has been heard. If you don't vote, nobody hear your voice. It's like your community doesn't exist. So it's really important that everybody votes, so everybody will know what we want, what matters to us, what we need. So
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, can you talk a little bit about it? I feel like people always think that they're voting for the candidates, but the candidates represent so much more. They represent, what they're going to be doing for you and your community.
exactly. Sometimes the candidates have some ideas, but if we don't speak to them, if we don't cast also our vote, they don't know. They will have an idea, but we know what we want because we are living there. We know what we need, and maybe they are offering something that we don't need,
Right.
but it's for us to let them know.
Yeah, I always say, if you're not voting or registering to vote and voting, then you might, be letting people who may not have your best interest in mind make decisions on your behalf. That's always
Exactly.
been yeah.
And let me tell you, some of our volunteers cannot vote, but they are promoting the vote. Why? Because all of them that are voting are representing them.
Exactly. Yeah, so even if you can't vote yourself, make sure that you're encouraging your friends and your family, giving them this information so that they can go out and be a representative for you as well. Well, that's everything. Thank you so much for being here with us. And again, Penelope Leon with Heartland Workers Center, thank you.
Thank you.
For the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha, I'm Karina Hernandez, reminding you to inform yourself about issues and candidates. And on November 8th, be ready to go vote Omaha.